We're back. We're doing another video here for the cover song series. What we're going to do today is we're going to kind of reset things, and we're going to use two separate artists covering two separate songs to kind of illustrate really what's been going on with the other videos, kind of make some things clear. So today we're going to talk about Luke Combs covering Fast Car and Fall Out Boy covering We Didn't Start the Fire. Now I'm going to tell you from the jump, these two songs are vastly different in what they're going to do for the band's music in general and the idea of a cover song. Now generally in my cover songs, the metric that I use to figure out how I judge cover songs and how I feel about them is basically 5 things. The fifth thing, which is the easiest thing, is the song a good or a bad song or not? There's a lot of ways you can interpret a good or a bad song, but that really doesn't matter. The next thing I talk about is longevity. Is the song over time going to hold up? Is it going to be, you go back and listen to it 5 years from now, is it still going to be a good song or not? The core thing I work around when I talk about these cover songs really is supremacy. Like, does it replace the original work either for the audience or for the artist? Best example of this, or one of the better examples, is All Along the Watchtower between Jimi Hendrix covering Bob Dylan's version. Bob Dylan now really looks at Hendrix's version as the definitive version. But you can only reach the heights of something like that through innovation. Like, you got to be able to bring what you do to the song at times and either make it better or distinct from the original work. But you can only really do that unless you're competent with it, like unless you know the song and basically know how it works. And those 5 criteria are kind of what I look at when I deal with a cover song. So I'm going to talk to you about Luke Combs for a second. Luke Combs is a newer country artist. He's been around for a few years. And he's got a lot of movement, a lot of buzz within the country world. I like to describe Luke Combs as the country embodiment of John Cusack holding up the radio and Say Anything outside of Ione Sky's window. He's big, he's loud, he sings with a lot of passion, and you see it oozing in his videos, you hear it in his songs. He makes you feel the music. So when it came to him covering an iconic song like Fast Car, you have to understand, over the last 30 years, it's one of the most, I wouldn't say covered as far as on a record song, but generally people have heard it everywhere. It's been in grocery stores, it's been in commercials, it's been in a few feature films, and a lot of times a young singer-songwriter, anybody like doing bar gigs, something like that, especially young female singer-songwriters, will pull this song out because it's easy to learn. A lot, especially women, can relate to it. They can come to it right there in their heart and be like, they either know somebody that struggled with issues with their parents, or even guys can kind of relate to it. But just the idea of what what Tracy Chapman went through in that song of having to take care of a parent that has a problem, it clutches at your heartstrings, right? So there's a lot of goodwill with this song amongst the audience. And Luke Combs decided, because first of all, he's capable with the song. Instead of doing the big Luke Combs thing, instead of being big and loud and boisterous with it, he innovates the song. For modern audiences, he kind of subverts expectations by not doing the Luke Combs thing. He just comes to it with the earnestness and just, I'm going to get in front of a mic and sing. And he treats the material with the reverence and the respect that it deserves. And he sang it like he was a troubadour. And in that way, it's a great cover song. He didn't have to do anything different with it other than like the slight changes in arrangement to make it more of a country sound. And it's worked out for everybody. It's a win-win-win. It's going to be great for Luke Combs. It gives him a #1 hit. It allows Tracy Chapman to become the first black female artist to have a number one hit in country music. She's not a country musician, which is great. It's going to open up that genre of fans to her catalog and her music. It will open up her fans to more country artists to discover Luke Combs. It's a win-win-win for everybody. It's one of the times when doing a cover song works for the artist, it works for the art, and it works for the business. And that doesn't happen often at all. Contrast that with Fall Out Boy. Now, I think I've covered Fall Out Boy before, or maybe talked about it. They covered Michael Jackson's Beat It. And I may do a compare and contrast between their cover of Beat It and Alien Ant Farm's cover of Smooth Criminal, which I think the Alien Ant Farm version is the better cover song of a Michael Jackson song. But what they did in that song is that they were competent. They brought Fall Out Boy kind of to that song, gave it a lot more of a rock edge because it was easy to do because Beat It was already kind of a rock song. So when they covered We Didn't Start the Fire, they failed on competency from the beginning. There's a certain structure that Billy Joel did when he wrote that song, which is basically he took the events from 1949 up to 1989, and they're just the big events of the era. He didn't do it with a lot of bias necessarily that you can really find in the song. But what he did was every decade was a verse, and you just cover the decade. That's all you had to do. Yes, it was probably a challenge to rhyme Starkweather Homicide with Children of Thalidomide. I get it. Fall Out Boy had the advantage of time to get competent with the song. Hey, you got a new 30 years to do, and just do it. Don't be fancy with it. Just bring general Fall Out Boy sound to it, and that's all you had to do. And they couldn't bring themselves to do it. They cover the sound part. It sounds great. People that are reacting to the song are bopping along to like, oh, it's awesome. But it's not. Let me tell you why it's not. It's not because they couldn't cover the decade. They couldn't just decide to not insert something that didn't make sense. I have notes real quick. So, the original song ends in 1989. One of the first failures they do, which really doesn't come out to the end of the song, is they put Batman 89 and Keaton at the end of the song. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me why they did it. Dumb. They start in 1990, which is fine, but in the middle of the 1990 verse, which covers Captain Planet, the Oklahoma City bombing, Tiger Woods winning the Masters, and Pokemon being introduced, they slip in the Arab Spring, which is in 2010. Now they do that in a lot of the other verses of the song, like sticking the Lorena Bobbitt situation while covering the late 2010 going forward, which doesn't make any sense. And I don't know if there's some kind of lost level decoding that I as an individual or somebody listening to the song is supposed to decode in what they did. That's one reason why it's less competent than the other songs. There's a definite bias that the band puts in. They're from Chicago, so they're talking about the Cubs going all the way in 2016. When it would have been... So the Red Sox, one of my favorite teams, could have been used as their Richard Nixon because they win the World Series in 2004, 2007, and 2013. And it's more culturally significant that they broke the curse of the Bambino, which kind of allowed for the Cubs to go back and break their own curse because they, surprise, surprise, the same manager from the same general manager from the Red Sox is a guy that became the general manager from the Cubs. Like it's a lot of linkage there. But they failed on all that because it's a small part of bias, and maybe that's nitpicky, but it's there. Is it gonna stand the test of time? Maybe, because people are gonna try to point to it as the next iteration of this song, even though it sounds good. It's catchy because it's got their beat to it, but it doesn't do anything to lessen the power of the original. They don't really innovate it other than changing the lyrics or adding new lyrics to it. And like I say, a lot of people are going to like it. It's okay. But when you, in my opinion, when you fail on just doing the basic stuff the song is going to do, it hurts the song. Like I said, I love this song because it's one of the things that got me interested in history. because I loved how you encapsulate that amount of time and that level of detail on what happened into a song, and it's good. So that really got me rolling, and just my love of history in general. So I'm actually kind of offended by Fall Out Boy's version of this song. So that's this cover song episode. Like, it's just I'm really out on the Fall Out Boy song as much as I'm in on the Luke Combs song. The next couple of things I'm going to work on in this segment, we're going to cover Ghost covering Shakespeare's Sister Stay. I got to figure out which Springsteen song I want to talk about that Jason Isbell's covered. And the next video I'm going to do cover-wise is probably going to be Hailstorm's cover of the Beatles song She's So Heavy. Because they did a really good job on that song. It's probably... It's not going to supplant the original because you're scaling Mount Everest because it's the Beatles, but it's very close. So that's this episode. Peace and Afro Grease. We'll see you in the next one.